Hi, hello, and how are you? I am Cynple, and today we are going to talk about how most of the hairstyles that most women do on little girls' hair is the reason why most little black girls' hair never reaches a certain length.
So y'all, I came across is doing this. The boiling water is on her scalp. It is not on the braids. And this is a big no-no. And for you to sit here and film it like it is okay. Like the girl is literally, moving around, trying to let you know like it hurts. You're burning my scalp. So let me just tell y'all, don't ever do this. This is not safe.
This could be a touchy subject for a few, but I don't want you to get in your feelings because this is coming out of love. If you are new to my channel, hi, hello, how are you? I am Cynple, a licensed cosmetologist, a trichologist, research scientist, herbalist, and owner of Cynple Apothecary LLC. And today, we're going to talk about how hairstyles like this.
You did this shit. You did this shit. A bitch ain't gonna know how to motherfucking act. Look at my fucking lashes. Damn it. Shit. Now I'm gonna be swinging my ass for no motherfucking reason. Like, you called me when? What you said? Thank you, girl.
You're welcome.
This is good.
You're welcome.
You got a claim to me. You got a claim to me.
Are the reason behind most of the balding issues in the black community, because let's be honest, as soon as you have a little girl, I know because I have a little girl that's soon about to be 13 years old, and the first thing you want to do is put styles like this in their head with a whole bunch of barrettes and ponytails and things of that nature. But if we do the process of elimination and you compare practices from other cultures of people whose skin are not necessarily the same color as yours, if we start looking at some of those patterns, we can easily draw parallels. I know a lot of people these are the type of hairstyles that I'm talking about, and to be honest, if we're honest, most of us are doing this. We start believing and spreading the belief that you have to have your hair saturated in oils and butters, and you have to have tight hairstyles packed full of oils, butters, and grease, because in some way, shape, or form you're lacking something, and this is something that is being passed down from generation to generation. As I'm talking, I want you to look on the screen and see some comments that are in complete alignment with what I'm saying right now. So right now, as you guys have seen some of these pictures and videos, let's go ahead and hop into why these practices that you guys are following lead to black women in the United States. I'm not going to speak in other places because I don't live in other places. I live in the United States. But this is the reason that most of us are not able to retain length or are not able to have long hair growth cycles like other girls. Hair growth starts at a very young age, and the average hair growth cycle is 7 years. That means for the first 7 years of your life, the styles that your mother do, the styles that your mothers give you, the way that your mother treats your scalp is going to be the thing that separates you, or the thing that determines how long or healthy your hair gets. And it's going to be the thing that determines how strong your hair growth cycle sets off to begin with. And if we're honest, and if you're not in your feelings, most black women are the reason that their daughter's hair never reaches its full potential. If you are open to hearing new information you've never heard before, then stick around to the end of this video. If not, go ahead, find your oil and greased up tribe, girl, because this is not it. I'm not arguing with anybody in the comments, and I'm not here to prove anything to anyone. If you still want to grease your scalp, oh my God, roll around, swim in it, become a pork chop sizzled in the fire and the grease. Tight braids affect the human hair growth cycle in so many different ways. Tight braids cause stress on the follicle that either stop or completely disrupt the hair growth cycle. And in this case, this will result in, instead of you getting 1.5 inches every year, girl, you get like 2.5 centimeters every 6 months. Number 1 is going to be physical tension to the scalp. Tight braids create constant tension to the hair strand. That tension travels up the hair shaft into the follicle and puts stress and strain on the follicle, which results in something called traction alopecia. Follicular damage. Follicular damage is something that is caused when, again, stress and tension is constantly put on the hair's follicle. Repeated stress around the hair's follicle can lead to inflammation of the follicle. I keep saying follicle. This causes extreme damage to the derma papilla, which is responsible for managing hair growth within the hair's follicle. You guys don't understand that, you know, when you get braids and you're like, oh my God, this hurts so bad, it's so tight. You're damaging the derma papilla of your head, of your follicle. And most likely when you take those braids out, you're gonna have more damage when you put them in than you did when you took them out. That's why some of you are like, oh my God, I had braids in for 6-8 months and I'm not seeing any new growth. That is because instead of your scalp growing, instead of the follicle growing, it was trying not to die. Girl, it had how I'm gonna grow and try not to die at the same time? You gotta make a choice, baby. Number 2 is going to be the impact on the blood supply to the hair's follicle. Tight braids can compress the scalp and the follicle, which will in return lead to stress of the follicle, which can in return slow down or sometimes stop the hair growth cycle in its tracks. This is going to limit the blood supply to the hair's follicle. The follicle depends on a steady flow of oxygen and nutrient. This is delivered directly from the bloodstream to maintain a healthy and active hair growth cycle, blood supply, and all of those things. But if you have tight braids, baby, it's not happening. And not to mention, not only do you have tight braids, for them to put the tight braids in, girl, you got all of the jelly jam and glitter in your scalp that everybody's ever created. Polymers should never be on the scalp. A polymer is something that is meant to hold a style into place. There are braiders that can do it without slathering your scalp and making it look like this. This is crazy. If the blood flow is limited, then the follicle won't be able to receive the different nutrients that it needs to finish and complete the hair and scalp's natural hair growth cycle. This is going to cause the hair strand to be really, really weak and brittle and sensitive to touch. A lot of people, after they get braids and things of that nature, even if your hair is long, you'll find that after your braids are out, your hair is a lot weaker. It's a lot more sensitive to touch. If you comb it 1 second, it all falls out. It just, everything falls to pieces if somebody just touch it. That's not normal. Your hair should be really, really strong. There are some people that have really, really strong hair. If it's long enough, you can tie it in a knot. And most of y'all tie y'all hair in a knot, it's gonna break. It's gonna tie in a knot, all right? It's gonna be knotted and dotted. Number 3 is going to be the disruption of the human hair growth cycle, which we've talked about before. Make sure you check this playlist in the description box below, where I break down the 3 different cycles of the hair growth cycle, right? But your really, really tight braids, or just tight braids in general, or long heavy braids, or just heavy braids in general, or even heavy locks in general, will throw off the human hair growth cycle. A lot of times it's not normal balding that you see in people with locks. A lot of times it's just the pulling and the tension and a couple of the different things that I named that ends up weakening the hair shaft and weakening the follicle. This is why really good locticians tell you don't get a retwist every time your hair looks a little razzle frazzle, right? Don't do that, because you'll end up damaging the hair's follicle. It's very true. And I can't be walking around with frizzies. That's why I can't do locks, because I can't do it. So let's talk about how your tight braids and tight hairstyles actually slow down the hair growth cycle. Most of you guys think that your tight protective styles are protecting your hair, but you're actually slowing down your hair growth cycle. And Black women have been doing it for years, for decades, for forever, for eons. Now, I'm not saying that you can't wear braids ever, but braids are for special occasions, like if you're going somewhere. But box braids should not be the things that you're doing all the time. I know y'all like that song, Down to the Booty Braids. It's cute, but you shouldn't have down to the booty braids all the time. And you really shouldn't be having down to the booty braids. You're gonna be having down to the scalp bald spots. The anagen phase. The anagen phase is the very first phase of the human hair growth cycle, and this is the phase where your body is producing new hair growth cells. But if you have a damaged blood supply, there's no oxygen flow and there's no nutrients and there's no way for your body to produce new hair growth cells. There's nothing there. There's no juice. It's like trying to drive your car with no gas, baby. It ain't nothing in your gas but powder. If the anagen phase of the hair growth cycle is shortened, then you're going to experience less hair growth. You will be a person whose hair grows a lot slower than everybody else because you constantly have tension that is slowing down that hair growth cycle or just cutting it short. Instead of that phase being a couple of years for you, it can be a couple of months because of your practices. These are things that you have to always take into consideration. Braids are cute, but so is your scalp and so is your skin. Your skin is beautiful and you about to be showing a whole more lot of it. Now, next up is the catagen phase, and this is the phase where the hair's follicle detaches itself from the blood supply. But baby, if you already have super tight braids in your hair and your head and your scalp is in so much pain that you take a Tylenol to numb the pain, just because you don't feel the pain anymore doesn't mean that your follicle isn't being detached from the derma papilla. That's not what that means. It just means that you can't feel it happening anymore, but it is still happening. Now, only about 5 to 10% of your hair's follicles are supposed to be in this phase at one time, but by you prolonging the tension on the hair's follicle and creating stress and inflammation, what ends up happening is the majority of your hair follicles end up going into this phase. This is where you'll notice that at first, detangling your hair was normal, but then you start getting a whole lot of clumps and globs of hair in your hand and you're just shedding and losing so much hair. Well, it's because you have in some way, shape, or form disrupted your natural hair growth cycle, and that is not okay. Y'all protective styles ain't protecting nothing but the jobs of dermatologists and trichologists and research scientists and herbalists like myself. Y'all ain't doing nothing but protecting our jobs, baby. Nothing but protecting our jobs. Cause y'all gonna go get all these braids and then y'all gonna be like, I'm bald head, I need help. I shouldn't have said that, I'm sorry. Now, the intelligent phase of the hair growth cycle is where the hair stops growing, takes a rest for a minute, and then after it takes a rest, it starts. And then once it gets stuck in that intelligent phase of the hair growth cycle, what ends up happening is your hair just stops growing altogether. It's just resting because it's in a stressful state. Now, at any time, again, only about 5 to 10% of your hair follicles are supposed to be in the intelligent phase of the hair growth cycle. But if your practices, patterns, and routines cause you to get into the intelligent phase of the hair growth cycle, you'll notice a whole lot of balding and thinning of the hair and of the scalp because your hair isn't growing. It's stuck in the intelligent phase. So there's still hair within the follicle, but it's just sitting in there. It's taking a nap. It's like they on that bull, and until she or he gets off that bull, we taking a nap. I don't have time. I'm not doing it. Not today. Most of y'all think y'all going bald, but y'all not even going bald. Y'all hair is just tired of y'all. It's on strike. Your hair is just tired of you. It's on strike. It's tired of you playing it all the time. It wants you to stop playing. Like, stop playing. Go play with somebody else. Go get a mannequin, bro. Stop playing at me. Number 4 is going to be inflammation and scarring due to the tight braids. Folliculitis, a constant tugging and pulling on the hair's follicle, it ends up causing and leading to inflammation of the hair's follicle. So many of you get tight braids and you see little white bumps like this. Baby, you have folliculitis from having tight braids. And the majority of women, the vast majority of women who get their hair braided and get tight braids have these little white bumps. You have folliculitis, my baby. Your braids are too tight. And what y'all don't understand is if you see folliculitis, if you you see what looks like this on your scalp, my baby, your follicles are literally fighting for their lives, and you this close to being bald head. You see a white bump pop up in your scalp, you better take those braids down. You got to decide, what do you want more, the cute little hairstyle that you got, or the hair to stay on your head? Those are things that you have to think about. Yes, a lot of these braiders should do better, but you also have to do better and stop going to people's house. In really severe cases, tight braids lead to scarring alopecia, and scarring alopecia is more permanent, where the constant inflammation, the constant pulling, the constant, you know, back and forth between telogen effluvium in and out, the folliculitis, and all of these different forms of scalp inflammation you have. Not to mention, most of you have dandruff immediately after braids because you're letting braiders pack your scalp full of oils and butters. And braiding gel is not gel. Braiding gel is thick ass edge control. It's not braiding gel. That's just what they decided to put on the bottle so you can feel like you're using a different product. But I want you to go get your favorite edge control and take it out the bottle, go like this, or take it out the container, go like this on your hand, and take a braiding gel, but take it and put it on your hands. It's the same thing. It's the same polymer based formulation. You using edge control and a braid gel is the same thing, my baby. It's just put on, it just has a different label, so that way companies can sell you edge control and braid gel, and you're gonna buy both of them thinking that you have a different product, right? But these are things that I need you to think about, because if you want to stick with what was traditional hairstyles, they were not putting this much oil, grease, and butter on the scalp. And the thing is, if they were, there are a lot of things that our ancient ancestors did that we don't need to repeat, like kind of selling each other into slavery and stuff like that. Like, there's so many things that they did that we don't need to be redoing, right? Some of the things were amazing, but some not so much, and some things were great but can be altered just a little bit. It's up to you. If you want to stick to the patterns of the old, then by all means do that. This channel is not for that. This channel is for people who want to evolve with the times. It's 2024, baby. Baby, what are you doing? We got electricity now. And I know y'all want to think that in Africa everybody is walking around with afros and team natural, but that's not true. If the tension that is in your scalp or within the follicle persists for too long, sometimes the follicle would just go ahead and die, and you can't rebirth it. Sometimes you can refresh follicles, sometimes you can. I do it all the time, but sometimes the death goes too far. That's why I'm always talking about prevention, because it's easier to prevent something than it is to reverse it. It can't always be reversed, but it can always be prevented. Even after stopping all of these practices, removing the tight braids, stopping with tight braids and things of that nature, if you've been doing these practices, or if you've had poor practices, or whatever you want to call them, type of practices for long periods of time, like for years, you need to give your follicle time to readjust itself. Like you having a practice for 20 years, for 10 years, for 5 years, and then like,
you know what, I'm not to do that no more. And for the last 30 days I haven't done it, and my hair's still not growing back.
Girl, it's not gonna grow back that fast. You have to give your body time. Once you stop doing things, right, you have to give your scalp time to repair itself, right? You have to give your body a chance to reset itself back into the hair growth cycle that you deducted it from, right? If the anagen phase slowed down because of your practices, you have to wait until your follicle and your hair growth cycle is able to catch up. If you want to help it and aid your body in catching up. What's wrong? My daughter is interrupting our video. Gotta just put your hand over. No, they can't see you from over there. Come on, I'm not live. Just go, put your hand in there.
Hola.
She said, hola, ¿cómo estás? Although although braids are cute, although braids are time savers, they're not the best thing for your hair. They're really not. And I know that's going to be something that's really hard for a lot of people to hear, but anything that causes you that type of pain, that type of prolonged tension, is not something that you should do on a regular basis. And if you are not able to find braiders that do not braid the way that the women that are in these videos that I've been playing over me as I'm talking, if you cannot find braiders that don't do this, then you don't need braids. If you cannot braid your hair without packing your scalp full of polymers, heavy polymers, then you need not get braids. If you are a braider that is not able to make straight parts like this without packing your client's scalps full of butters, oils, greases, and all of this stuff, then my baby, you need to go back to the drawing board and get some practice done. And I know y'all not gonna want to hear this, but it's funny because I've been making the don't do this videos for years now, and every single time it comes out that I'm right, and then everybody has to go back to the drawing board, and then there's a new product that comes out to repair all of the things that you guys were doing previously. There'll be another product soon that's coming out that's gonna be like the ultimate detox, the ultimate scrub to get rid of dead skin and build up in the scalp, because they're going to start seeing that all of their patterns and all of the things that they've been getting y'all to do have really ended badly for you, and no one's gonna admit to it. Nobody's gonna admit to it. So it's up to you to learn the science of your hair. It's up to you to, if you go in to get box braids, say, hey, my scalp is really sensitive, please don't put anything on my scalp. You're getting braids. Like, and the thing is, if you go and book consultations in advance, you can ask the braider, hey, do you use braiding gel? Because I can't have braiding gel on my scalp. And if she says yes, hang up the phone and keep looking until you find the braider that you need. All right. I really hope that makes sense. I was gonna lie and say I hope I didn't offend anybody, but you offend me. Shit. Okay, I don't feel bad, because when I was standing behind the chair, I would grow my client's hair. Oh, you know how everybody be like, oh, it's silk press season, it's silk press season. So the majority of my clients were like doctors and lawyers and really professional women that were not doing braids and stuff like that. And not to say the braids are unprofessional, but goddamn it, they wasn't doing it. And it was always, every season was silk press season or something like it for them, right? So that it didn't affect me like, oh, my clients left and were coming to me because they were getting braids. No, that didn't happen. What I mean by that is I would have my regulars, and then I would have an influx of, once summer was over, once silk press season hits, y'all need not call it silk press season, you need to call it repair from damage season, because everybody has to come back in and get all of their hair cut off from all of the damage that they had during the summer, from all of the braiders that y'all went to, that y'all let boil y'all head like y'all was some goddamn spaghetti, just getting y'all head dipped in a bowl. And can you please explain to me why you a grown-ass woman that's sitting here screaming like this instead of getting up and telling her to get out your head? It's crazy. It's crazy. So these are the things that I really want everybody to think about. I know y'all love braids, I know y'all love y'all protective styles, but if your head hurts, your follicle is on its way to death. So if you don't want your follicles to die, don't pop Tylenols. Pop a comb out of your pocket and pop those braids out of your head. I really hope this video made sense. If it did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment below whether you agreed or not. I love you guys, and I really hope that you start to love wearing your own hair in or in braids, not in braids. You can wear your hair however the hell you want. Even if you do have braids, just make sure they're not so tight that you need to take drugs. And pay attention. Take pictures of your hair and your scalp before you get braids in, and once you take those braids out, take more pictures of your hair and scalp. And if the densities change, then maybe you shouldn't do braids again for a while. Okay, let me know what you think about this video, and until our next video, bye.